Senator Menendez is here and available for his opening remarks. How much time would the senator desire?
If the chair could, I think about 20, 25 minutes.
And why don't I yield such time as the senator may consume? And again, I want to thank the senator from New Jersey, who is truly an outstanding member of the Budget Committee. He has made incredibly valuable contribution there, and I very much appreciate the leadership he's brought to the committee.
I thank
from New Jersey.
I thank the distinguished chairman for his kind words. I particularly want to thank him for his leadership in structuring a budget that I am convinced, unlike the president's budget, speaks to the shared values of the American people, speaks to the priorities that our nation needs to pursue, meets the challenges that our country has, and ultimately goes to the very heart of turning this economy in a much different direction so that it can work for working families. And under his leadership, we have a budget that I am proud to support on the floor of the Senate, and that whether you live on east or west or north or south, I think that Americans will find this budget, as they become more fully aware of it, as one that has the integrity, the honesty, and as well as the purposes to meet the challenges. And the chairman deserves enormous credit for working with all members on both sides to try to achieve those goals, and I appreciate his leadership. Madam President, this week in the United States Senate, we are fighting for the economic future of America. This is the week that we put together on the floor of the Senate the federal government's budget. And that budget is more than just a balance sheet of revenues and expenditures. It is a balance sheet of priorities and values. The lines of numbers come together to form a bigger picture, laying out a vision of where we plan to lead the nation. Every year when we make the budget, we look at where our country stands, how we can improve the lives of the American people, and what we can do to make sound investments that brighten the future of generations to come. It is a responsibility that we cannot afford to take lightly. When we create a budget, we have to answer some fundamental questions. What are the most important problems we face as a nation? What are the challenges of middle-class working families? And how do we meet those challenges together? Now, several weeks ago, President Bush gave us his answer. And his answer was, there's nothing wrong with America that can't be fixed by giving away more tax breaks to the wealthy, giving away more subsidies to big oil companies, continuing the war in Iraq, and never admitting what it costs. The president is fighting to keep taxes low for the wealthy and wants to make it up by charging veterans more for their health care. Apparently, that's the answer some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are giving as well. They agree with the president that the American people should just cover their eyes, pretend their problems don't exist, and that everything magically will work itself out. I believe, Madam President, that a vote for the president's budget is a vote for the status quo. It is a vote for the way things are going in America in terms of this economy. But Democrats see things quite differently. Here's what we see. Our economy is continuously weakening, and tens of thousands of people are losing their jobs. The price we pay for health care is spiking through the roof, while the value of our homes is falling through the floor. Baby boomers worry about whether they're going to be able to retire with dignity, and seniors are worried that the strong base of Social Security could crumble right under them. Our climate is in crisis, and our attachment to an umbilical cord of foreign oil means our entire way of life hangs by a liquid thread. The government is going into debt to the tune of more than $10 billion per month to finance a war in Iraq that hasn't made any of us safer, while local police and fire departments are getting squeezed for funds and crime in our neighborhoods is on the rise. If you've worked in Newark all your life and just lost your job, we hear you. If you're scared to walk through your neighborhood in Camden because there's violence on the streets, we hear you. If your family might be in danger of losing your home in Trenton or Long Branch or North Arlington, or if you're teaching at a school with a budget stretched so far as it can go in Hamilton, Plainfield, or Asbury Park, if your commute to work just keeps getting more frustrating in Cherry Hill, if every day you drive by a barren industrial site that's not being redeveloped in Penns Grove or Paulsboro, if it's a struggle to pay your college tuition in New Brunswick, or pay your heating bill in Toms River, or pay your health care costs in Edison, Democrats understand what people in New Jersey, certainly I do, and people all across America are going through. None of us can stand up here and pretend that one budget can be the magic bullet that makes all of these problems disappear. 1 year isn't enough time for that. 1 year can't undo 7 years of the Bush administration's mismanagement that turned a record surplus into a soaring deficit. 1 year can't undo 5 years of a war in Iraq that has claimed thousands of American lives and incinerated more than $500 billion that we could have used to make Americans' lives better. In one budget, we can't fully fund all the programs that deserve our support or give the tax relief we want to middle-class working families. Not under this administration. But this year, we can set the wheels in motion of the long and indispensable process of change. We can develop a plan to meet the challenges we face head-on, and we can start to move our country forward. And this is exactly what the Senate Democratic budget does. Here's the vision that our budget puts forth for our nation, a nation that is more prosperous, with more affordable health care, on the path to energy independence, a nation of safer neighborhoods and better schools, a nation we can all be proud of. Above all, our budget is designed to get our economy growing, get that economy growing and moving again. That's the first and foremost priority of this budget. The Bush budget, supported by many of our Republican colleagues, creates jobs in China, while the Democratic budget creates good-paying jobs here in America. The Democratic budget focuses on rebuilding our infrastructure, expanding incentives for green initiatives and industries, and investing in math, science, and engineering and technology so American businesses create and keep the best jobs here in America. Our budget puts the family budget first. It provides middle-class tax relief by extending the marriage penalty relief, a child tax credit, a pact for the alternative minimum tax that will protect millions of middle-class families from paying higher taxes next year. It works to make college more affordable by extending tuition tax credit, and it supports job training programs that will prepare the workforce for the 21st century. And this budget moves us down the road to energy independence and helps create a high-skilled workforce and green-collar jobs. Now, I'm proud to have pushed for funding for the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grants, a provision I authored in our last energy bill, to provide cities with support for projects that foster more efficient use of energy and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We all know that oil and natural gas prices are sky high, and sea levels are rising along with the temperature, so this program is a key part of our strategy to meet those challenges. And the Democratic budget recognizes that we can't think about national security without thinking about hometown security. While our resources